ঠিক আছে? ওম
No, it has. It stopped working, so I'm resetting it.
এন্ড করে দাও, এটা অফ করে দাও, এন্ড করে দাও।
No, why?
না এখন অনেকক্ষণ এসে এগুলো কাটতে হবে তো।
I will
We have
edit
not
it. At the
started.
end, I will edit.
In this phone only you, only one person means you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsha Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadguru. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We salute Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, the dear darling of Mother Devaki, and Guru of the world, and the teacher and world of the whole universe. I salute him again and again. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we are now entering into the chapter, book 5, and on the first chapter, book 5. So this is continuing. It is called Skanda. Book means Skanda 5, chapter 1, verse 1. Now the story of Priyabrata. Now we go back to the context that the king Parikshit is listening to the glory of Lord Krishna. He is just waiting for his death on the 7th day. And so to pass that last moment, not to think of anything else but Bhagavan Krishna. So he was engaged in listening to Shukadev giving the instruction, and he is listening and questioning. Now the Raja Parikshit, who is going to die within few days, he is asking to Shukadev, said, O revered sage, Priyabrata was a Manu's descendant and a great devotee, ever revealing in the Atman. Why did he then take to the life of a householder, which caused the bondage of karma and the forfeiture of the spiritual awareness? His question that Priyabrata was such a great devotee of God, who is ever established in the knowledge of Atman, then why he again entered into the householder life? And householder life means it causes bondage and karma, and it loses, it takes away our spiritual essence. Also, it is not possible for a person like him, who are established in the Atman, to feel attached to the home. So a person of realization, as we know, a person of realization should not have any attachment for anything else. But we see that Priyabrata, they're talking about the king of this dynasty. So being such a wise person, why he was attached to the home means the kingdom. O wise one, in those who experience the bliss arising from the reflection of the Lord's feet in their heart, the desire for a family of their own can never arise. We know, we have heard it, that a knower of God, a wise person, who are experiencing the joy of God, thinking of God in that heart, so he does not desire for anything in the worldly. How that thought will come? I have a grave doubt. I have a grave doubt how one attached to one's own life, house, and children happened to have firm and deep rooted devotion to Krishna at the same time. How this is possible that one, a lover of God, loves God so intensely, at the same time, see, he can be maintaining the worldly life of uh, deep rooted devotion in the heart of Krishna, at the same time, attached to one's own life, his children, etc. Then the Sukadev, the sage, great sage, is responding to this question of King Parikshit. He says, what you have said is correct, Sukadev said. What you have said is correct in a way. But it can happen that a devotee, though his mind is deeply immersed in imbibing the nectar of the Lord's lotus feet, is for a short time obstructed in his devotional life by his prarabdha. Yeah, it is possible. A knower of truth also is seen to behave like a worldly person due to their past impact of their past life's action called the prarabdha karma. So it does not disturb their inner knowledge, but the body functions in the old pattern, mind functions in the old pattern. But when there goes to samadhi, they unite with the Atma all the time. But at the same time, when they behave, that's why spiritual practice is necessary. Spiritual practice, those who have disciplined spiritual practice, the society gets much more benefit from them. That means the holy people, monks, real, genuine monks, what they do, the day and night meditate and think of God, 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 God. As a result, who comes, they say that they're detached from the world, they're totally immersed in God, there is no attachment, no aversion, that characteristic. But ordinary people, because their prarabdha, the old tendencies are still guiding their, forcing their life. So their behavior appears differently, but their inner knowledge has blossomed in the heart. So they see the world differently. In such a case, he does not abandon the exalted ways of the Lord's devotees, like taking delight in hearing and chanting the Lord's name and excellences. O King Parikshit, instructed by the sage Narada, this Priyabrata had attained to the knowledge of the Atman and had resolved to worship the Lord through Brahma Satra, consisting in the continuous concentration of the mind on Him. So he says that this, O Narada, this you are talking about this Priyabrata, the king in the dynasty. He is not an ordinary person. Narada instructed him, we read that in the last chapter. Narada instructed him, and Priyabrata, following the Narada's instruction, attained to the knowledge of the Atman and, and then engaged into the worship of the Lord. And by Brahma Satra, what is Brahma Satra? Brahma Satra means consisting of continuous concentration of the mind upon Him. But he practiced to keep the mind in God all the time. We call Smarana Sarana Manana, Smarana Manana. All the time, continuously remembering God and repeating His name. He did that, this king. But being possessed of all these qualities required for the kingship and administration of the country, he was called upon by his father to take up such responsibilities. So he has all these qualities, but his father called upon him because he wants to give the responsibility to his son. So he called his son and gave the responsibility. And he has the skill of kingship and administration. Priyabrata, he has the power to rule a country. And that tendency is there. He has the prarabdha karma inside him. So a father's command is, for a, of course, never to be disobeyed. That is the Indian spiritual tradition in early days. Pita, Pitri Devo, how they say, Let father be your God. Let your mother be your God. That is the ancient training. So Priyabrata also, following that deep reverence for his father, so could not just disobey his father. Therefore, but that Priyabrata whose mind and senses have been completely dedicated to the Lord, though Priyabrata already got totally engrossed in God in the course of his spiritual practices of continuous and concentrated absorption in samadhi, did not like to accept his father's order, fearing that application to the matters of state, though belonging only to the category of appearances, was nonetheless likely to distract him from spiritual path. So then, though he loved his father, he was willing to obey his father's order, but he said that he humbly prayed that please excuse me. eh, Because his mind is so engrossed in the thought of God, the spirit of Bratu the king, so much absorbed in his godly thoughts that he did not like to accept his father's order. That it will be why? Because it will distract his mind. That's why many sadhus, many holy people, when they get steeped into their spiritual practice, they don't want to engage even to any lay talk, ordinary conversation, ordinary association, because their mind roams in different level. Though belonging only to the category of, though you know that the world is appearance, who knows? Not we, but a man of illumination like Priyabrata, the king. You know, though it is appearance, but still I should not engage into it. So he disobeyed or humbly said that, beg an excuse from his father's order. Now, just then, this was the situation going on. Priyabrata's father was asking him, you have the skill to administer, you have the skill to rule the country, so you take responsibility of the kingdom. And I am old now, I will retire. But he is not agreeing, son is not agreeing, Priyabrata, thinking, though I see these are all meaningless things, and my mind, body works only, I am not working, I am the Atman. This knowledge I have, but still I don't find any interest in engaging into them. Least I will be more involved into the worldliness. And this was going on. Just then appeared Brahma, the first of the divinities, who was ever thinking of the ways and means whereby the interest of created beings could be promoted, and was for this purpose always keeping himself in the know of the requirements of all beings. So Brahma, Brahma part is creation. He wants to create. So the first of the three divinities in Hindu divinities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So three divinities is the first divinity who was ever thinking, his thought was always, we find ways and means how to create some interest being could be produced in the mind of people so that the creation continues. Brahma is creator God. He wants it to people of his followers. So he appeared before them, and then he was accompanied by a host of gods, devas, and a large number of his own followers. Like the moon in the sky, Brahma moved, worshipped on the way by the great devas, traveling in the aerial vehicles. Aerial vehicles, it's called airplane. They have their airplane then. So Brahma was in the airplane, is traveling, and his followers were all gods and goddesses. celestial beings and artists like Siddhas, Gandharvas, Sadhas, Charanas, Munis, many holy, all holy souls, they are all accompanied Brahma, the Lord of creation, and he was moving in the plane. It's called the sky, aerial vehicle. Finally, illumining the whole valley of the mountain of Gandhamadana, he reached this place where Priyabrata was staying with Narada. So there Brahma descended. His plane descended to the place where the king Priyabrata and Narada, they have the conversation going on. So now we link up. And Narada appeared. Why? The Priyabrata didn't want to accept his father's ruling that you have the skill for running this country and I am old, so take responsibility of the kingdom. And you have the administrative ability, you have the ruling power. But he said, no, no, I will get entangled into a world, I don't want that. No. That to convince him, the Narada started appearing there and talking. And now this discussion was going on with Narada, and suddenly Brahma, he came and descended in front of them. And it's called Gandhamadana Pahar. There is a hill which is called Gandhamadana.
It is full of medicinal tree. Medicinal
Medicine. When Rama, who was Lakshmana was in the war, Lakshmana was fighting with Ravana and others. So Lakshmana was almost dead. That time, this medicine is collected from Gandhamadan, this hill, which is full of herbal plants and good for recovery of health and medicinal. Anyhow, finally illumining the whole valley of mountain Gandhamadana, he reached the place where Priyabrata was staying with Narada. Seeing his omniscient father, that father is the Brahma, his arrival on his swan vehicle, he rides on a swan. Narada, everyone has a ride, all gods and goddesses have their own ride. So Mother Durga, she rides on a lion. Mother Saraswati, she has a swan. Mother Lakshmi, what is the Vahan?
The owl.
Owl. So Ganesha, he has a rat, like a mouse. Anyhow, so every god has some. So this Brahma rides on a swan, in a swan vehicle, looks like swan maybe. Narada arose from his seat, along with the son and the father, Priyabrata and his father Swayambhavu Manu. So Priyabrata's father's name Swayambhuva Manu. He's called Manu. So Manu's son is Priyabrata. So Priyabrata's father and Narada, they were in a meeting in this Gandhamadana valley, and then Brahma appeared there. And seeing them, they all stood up with reverence.
This Gandhamadana, before Hanuman carried it to South India or after carried it?
God knows.
Because now Gandhamadana is located in Sri Lanka.
Oh,
Because Hanuman took it.
not sure. Maybe. So son and father, the Priyabrata and his father, Swayambhu, worshipped him and sang the praise of Brahma, the Lord Brahma, creator God. O scion of the Bharata clan, accepting the worship of Narada and smiling in a kindly manner at the hymn of praise, recounting his attributes and worth, he said as follows, addressing Priyabrata. So Brahma now appreciated and then said to Priyabrata the king, who is not agreeing to be the king of the country and not agreeing to administer the kingdom, though his father is asking him to do. So Brahma came and Brahma appeared and Brahma then telling the future probable king Priyabrata. Brahma said, I am telling you the truth. Listen to me. No one can transgress the supreme and immeasurable being. All of us, including I, Rudra, your father Manu, and the sage who is your teacher, Narada, all are without freedom. That means they have no freedom. Therefore, the good of the world, they will have to live in the world. We all carry out the will of that supreme being. So he says, Oh, Priyabrata, no one can transgress the supreme immeasurable being, that means the Ishvara. It is all, we are all under Ishvara. Ishvara divides into three, Trinity. But it is all Brahma, Brahman, then becomes Brahm, Ishvara, and then becomes Trinity, gods, goddesses. Then creation comes. So all is under the will of this Ishvara. This term. We all carry out the will of the Supreme Being. We are here, we have no freedom, we only obey the Lord. That's the Brahma is saying we only obey our Lord, Supreme Being. No embodied being can counteract his will by any austerity, meditation, yogic power, intellectual skill, or worldly power. Neither with the help of others nor by oneself alone can one do so. Man takes on the body given to him by that mysterious power for the very purpose of undergoing the experiences it subjects him to birth, death, work, bereavement, grief, infatuation, fear, happiness, misery, etc. So what he says that by the God's will, the supreme will, this cycle of birth and death goes on. Why? To give experience to a soul. He will have all types of experience. What life can give, joy, how much bereavement, how much suffering. All these experiences, it is God's will. Why many people ask why we are born, why so much suffering, why God is doing that. But it is, and that's why sometimes we hear it is fun, God's wish. That is the God's wish. That is, He wants that we'll experience all types of. Why you go to taste food? Why you go to taste something which is pungent, which is very bitter? We do taste all these things. Why? To have an experience only. Eh? Always one could have eaten only the ice cream only. No, no, only ice cream. Only ice cream also sweet. So many varieties of sweet. Why? Why it is done? For enjoyment and understanding. So the world is created and you are created, we are created, according to Brahma, is for giving us the experience of this life. So no embodied being can counteract God's, His will. You may do austerity, you may do meditation, you may do yogic, you may exercise yogic power, intellectual skill, worldly power, neither with the help of others nor by your own self one can do so. Man takes on the body given to him by that mysterious power. Yeah. We are born here by the will of some mysterious power. Yeah. Vedanta says it is not created but appearance, but taking this view, God has created. This is true. God is there, true, and God has created this world. And Man takes on the body. We are forced. You take on a body given to him by that mysterious power for the very purpose of undergoing the experiences. It subjects him to, to go to the experience. What is the experience of life? Normal experience. We are born, then we die, we work, we love somebody, somebody dies, then we grieve, then we get infatuated in certain things. We are getting fearful and happy sometimes, sometimes misery. And all this diverse type of experience. To give this experience, God has created human being and all created being, not human only. We all offer our tributes of works as offering to Him, as cattle pulled by their nose strings do to their masters. No, we have no other freedom. We offer our tribute of work. Whatever we do work, we offer it to God, to Him, as a cattle. When they push some what you call the thread rope to the nose, no, a very soft area, and they control by that way. The powerful bull is controlled by their nose. So cattle, as the cattle is pulled uh, by their nose strings, due to their masters. The masters control. So we are all controlled by God. And God has put into this experience of life, and that's why you are born. Your austerity, your prayer, your all this power you try to get out of it, it is not your power unless God becomes kind and compassionate. Otherwise, this you are put into the track to move around like that. The Veda, consisting of sounds, is the cable to which we are all tied to the smaller but stronger streams of three gunas of Prakriti. And we are all controlled by what? By three gunas. What are the three? As you know, three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And that is the Prakriti. That creates the 24 principle, Prakriti. The Vedas consisting of sounds means, all the Vedas means chanting. We Vedic chanting. So Vedas means these Vedic chantings. These are like the Vedas consisting of sounds. They are the cable to which we are all tied. That is Vedic rituals. They guide us. In early days, they used to follow Vedic injunctions. Yeah, you do this jagna, you get up this time, you do chant this mantra, offer this oblation. All these are directed by the Vedas. Human life was controlled by them. So, consisting of the Vedic mantras, they are like the cable to which we are all tied in a smaller but stronger string of the three gunas of Prakriti and works springing from them. Three gunas create all types of actions: sattva work, rajasic work, tamasic work. He controls and directs us with this rope. That means three gunas. What are the three ropes? Three ropes. God controls us. By how? The free soul, controlled by three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. As their owners do their draught animal. Oh dear one, again it is said that Brahma is saying, oh dear one, we are like a blind man, directed entirely by another with eyes. Eh? Actually, we are driven. Which direction you have to go? You know, who drives the horse carrier, horse chariot? Horse does not know. The charioteer knows which path they will have to go. Horse may go, when it is with all this noose and everything tied to the nose, that time the horse has no freedom. So we have no freedom. As a cattle or a bull is engaged in a what you call bullock cart or something, but controlled by the strings, three strings. We are also all controlled by the three gunas. We have no freedom. Three gunas direct us. That's why you are like blind men, directed entirely by another with eyes. The Lord gives us such a body according to our eligibility through our nature and karma. And with that, we undergo suffering and enjoyment. He awards us. This is all God's will. God gives us a body particular. You have your own type of body, I have another type of body. Every body is little different. Every body and every mind is different. Its ability is different. Its power is different. Its capacity to do something is different. And its suffering is different. Its enjoyment is different. All this is given by God, God, God. Even a liberated man has to undergo the results of karma. You see, anyone is born in that physical body will have to undergo the effect of karma. Ramakrishna, even God himself had to undergo the suffering of throat cancer. How? Karma. What is his karma? He didn't do any bad karma, but he took away the karma of Girish and other devotees. So that karma will give effect. Either you are suffering yourself or your load is taken by another person. He is suffering. You have to suffer. Karma and karma follow. That cannot be avoided. Either you suffer or God, you transfer to God, then it goes to God. So even a liberated person has to undergo the results of karma that had become operative. And for this, he has to continue his bodily existence without any ego sense, undergoing enjoyment and suffering just he undergoes in a dream. So in dream, you undergo suffering, you are very worried, tensed in your dream, or you are happy in dream. You have no control. Similarly, your karma is the factor which gives us into the life and brings all types of experiences of suffering or enjoyment. But impressions and qualities causative of future births do not accrue to them. Only this greatness is that those who are knower of truth, their body mind goes to the same way as anyone's goes. Your body, my body, they suffer for karma. Ramakrishna's body also suffered for karma, not his own, but others' body one. But they are not affected by that. We ignorant people, we are affected by our body mind action. But impressions and qualities causative of future births do not accrue to them. But we are reborn again because karma does not end. But for knowers of truth, they are not to be born. The karma is guiding in this life till they die, and then they are freed because there are no residual karma. We have the karma, residual karma, after knowledge continues, the body continues. That is called the prarabdha karma. A heedless man without any control over the senses is subject to the fear of spiritual degradation, even if he resides in a forest. No? A heedless man, that means who have no control over his own practices and sadhana, have no control over the senses, he is subject to fear of spiritual degradation, even if he resides in the forest. Then if you go to forest, even he will be fearful for his fall. But for wherever he goes, the six enemies in the shape of six senses accompany him. What are the six senses? Shastra all the sense. It is 17 verse. Bhayang pramattasya boneshu upi shall. Fear will continue there even in the forest. Jataha so aste sahasat satpanna jitendriyasya atmaratir buddhasya grihastama king nu karati avadhyam. So, but for an enlightened person, ignorant person, even if you go to the forest, your worldly desire and things may working there also. But an enlightened person, if he remains in the city, remain in a place of enjoyment and fun, they don't get affected. And that is the point. Ignorant person, even going into the deep seclusion, they may find same mental problem, anxieties, worries, and all these desires and lust and greed, all these will go on there. But an enlightened person, he may go anywhere. He will be living in the middle of all types of fun and joy, but he will not be affected by anything. That is the distinction. Whoever wants to conquer the six enemies in the form of six senses means all the sense organs of perception. As enjoyment and suffering comes to the senses. The six senses should try to overcome them step by step, remaining in a home, experiencing unprohibited enjoyments with discrimination. That so how to go over this? The person who has not perfected himself will have to live in the world and go through the experience. Experience, eat. How much you eat? One day you will find that I have eaten enough. I've tasted every type of food. I'm not interested. So renunciation coming. That's why it's a one philosophy. Through experience, you give up.
So I'm interested in that thought that there are six senses. I thought there was five senses.
And
So
mind is the another.
Oh, they're calling the mind.
Mind is called another.
Oh, okay.
This is called Ekadaso or 11th senses also. Mind is called 11th sense. It's controller of all the five senses of action and perception. So five senses of perception, five senses of action, and who all are controlled by mind. So mind is also the boss of the organ, but they are also is or mind also an organ. So it says that wherever you want six enemies, whoever want to conquer these six enemies, it is the advice of Brahma in the form of six senses, should try to overcome them step by step. In one step, I will be a monk. That will not do. Ramakrishna gave the example. It's called the Vairagya, renunciation, momentary renunciation. He is very, he wants to be in the world and like to enjoy the life, but suddenly some blockage came, some difficulty came, someone lost something. The momentary mind says, oh my God, this life is so insecure. What's the need? Momentary it may flicker in the heart, that fire of renunciation. But again, when congenial, see everywhere, people forget when someone dies of our own, how we become depressed, how we suffer and cry and weep, no? But after 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 years, what happens? After 10 years, what happens? Whoever may be in the world, they forget. And they start a new life. So here is the same way. Overcome them step by step, remaining in the home, experiencing what? Unprohibited enjoyments with discrimination. That means enjoy a honest life. Irregular life to honest life, life of honesty. Honesty to renunciation, renunciation to illumination. So these steps should be followed. In one jump, one cannot climb the top of the mountain. You have to go step by step. A king overcomes his powerful enemies, remaining within the fortress. When the enemy has been weakened, one can be within the fortress or outside it. So too can be a man of discrimination. So discrimination is a path, analyze, this is all momentary, but this will not come in a day. It will take its time. First go to the experience and then renounce it. This is second stage. And those who are mature, they need not have to go for experience. They have already the experience, and that is goes in their sanskara. They are driven from the childhood, the path of renunciation. So these are different journey, but all should have to go through this, cover this experience, their path. You have conquered the sixfold enemy, Priyabrata. Huh? He's talking to Priyabrata. Priyabrata is not agreeing to his father's command to take the kingdom. So Manu, Swayambhuva Manu is the father, and Narada is sitting there, and Brahma is giving the advice to Priyabrata. You have conquered the sixfold enemy, which is lotus feet at your strong and secure fortress. No? So you can without fear enjoy here what the Lord has assigned to you. And afterwards you can abandon everything and be merged in the Atma. So you can take care of this. You can renounce everything, not now. You have the wisdom and knowledge. You are an enlightened person. So you live in the world and you run the management of the kingdom like a king and do your duties. Afterwards, you can abandon everything and be merged in the Atman. That means this body mind is functioning. It is a Jivan Mukta stage. So you work in the Jivan Mukti stage. Then Sri Sukadev, the narrator, that was talking to his. This is the point. One goes inside and another comes out. All this you have to remember. If you don't remember, all gets confused. So now, Priyabrata, Sukadev now said, being told so, told by whom? Told by Brahma. The great devotee Priyabrata, considering that this was the commandment of the Supreme Master, that's why Ramakrishna said, do everything by God's will. You say, Rama, 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 Rama's will. That story, a man was in the hot summer, restlessly sweating. So he came out and lied down in a open veranda. And he was resting well. Suddenly, a band of dacoits, highway robber, they looted some material and they want somebody to carry. And he thought that this man is very strong and can carry for us. Forced him to carry their stolen material and on his head, and they are asking him to go where they want to take him. He wanted a porter. He used that man as a porter. And then suddenly police came and police chased, and all these thieves, these burglars ran away. But this guy who was carrying the load, he was caught. And then he was taken to the jail. And then put before the judge next day or sometime. And then he said, what happened? Judge asked, what happened? Why you carried all this? Why are you looting these things? Well, he said, sir, by Rama's will, it was night, so I was resting in my room. By Rama's will, it was too hot, and I cannot sleep inside the room. There's no electricity, that there will be fan, and these are not available in Indian condition in those days. And then by Rama's will, I was sleeping there. It was a cool weather, I was almost dozing off. By Rama's will came this band of dacoits, and they catch me and pulled me into it and then put the load on my head. And Rama's will, we are going following them. And the dacoits suddenly saw some policemen and they ran away. And I could not run anyway. I was with my carrying the load on my head. So I was caught. And by Rama's will, they put me into jail. By Rama's will, they brought me before you, sir, the judge. And listening, that means he sees everything is Rama's will. Good, bad. So that will be the state will come. So it says, so you have conquered the sixfold enemy, which is lotus fit as your strong and secure fortress. So you can, without fear, enjoy here what the Lord has assigned to you. And afterwards, you can abandon everything and be merged into this. Now the Sukha said, being told so, great devotee, Priyabrata, considering this was the command of the Supreme Master of all the worlds to a devotee, so small and humble like himself, agreed to do so as ordered, showing due respect and regard to Brahma. So he said, sir, I'll follow. Whatever you say, I'll do that. The Manu, this is the father of the king, Priyabrata. Manu then worshipped Brahma and did proper honor to him. Neither Narada nor Priyabrata felt any disappointment in their mind that the mission of Brahma had obstructed their spiritual program. Even as they gazed on, Brahma departed to his transcendental realm of Satya Loka, contemplating on the Supreme Lord who is beyond word and thought, who is uninvolved in deeds, and who is one of one's central support. So Narada now saw Narada and Priyabrata remained there, and Brahma then going back to his own abode, where from he came down, descended. It is called Satya Loka. There are many planes in Hindu idea. So Brahma lives in Satyaloka. Mahajana Tapo Satta. 7 planes. Bhur Bhuvasa 3. Mahajana Tapo Satta. So Tapalok, Satyalok. So he resides in that plane, an high level where there is no world and worldliness but joy. By Brahma's mission, Manu Swayambhuva had his heart's desire accomplished. So, with Narada's permission, he enthroned his son Priyabrata for the protection of the whole earth and then retired from the poisonous attachment of the worldly life. Thus, by the will of the Lord, Priyabrata assumed the powers and duties of the state, though he was free from all desires and impurities of mind, to constant contemplation of the Supreme Being who destroys the bondage of his devotees. So, though Lord the Priyabrata was perfectly free from all entanglements, but to getting the blessings of Brahma and following his instructions, he engaged himself to take charge of the ruling of the country from his father, and father then got an opportunity to have freed and retired from all these things, and then put his mind into God consciousness. It was only to honor the command of the great personage that he took up the reins of government. It is not he willing to rule the country, it was not his will, he avoided. But Lord Brahma came and gave this advice. So, taking as God's providence, he took this idea and started governing the country, and not from his personal ambition or personal desire or for power and position. So now he entered into the kingdom, and he then married Barismati. He married Barismati, the daughter of Prajapati Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma, Vishwakarma's daughter, her name was Bharasmati. So he entered into be a king. So naturally, She married this lady, and he begot by her 10 sons, equal to him in qualities like good manners, goodness of nature, energy, personality, prowess, generosity, etc. Younger to these was also born a daughter, Urjaswati. Baba, who will remember all these things? Anyhow, all his 10 sons had synonyms of Agni as their names, which ran as follows: Ognidhara, Idmajiva. I need not to read all these names of the other names, synonyms of Agni as their names. 10 children were born. Priyabrata has 10 children. He married the lady, Vishwakarma's daughter. Her name is Barhismati. And then all these children were born. Of those, three, namely this Kobi, etc., were devoted to contemplate of the Atman from their very boyhood. Out of the 10 children born of the Priyabrata's marriage, three boys, they totally engrossed themselves in sadhana, spiritual practice, and adopted the way like a life of Paramahamsas. They took the path of meditation, prayer, and all this. These great spiritual personages were established in the supreme peace by the practice of loving devotion, characterized by the unbroken remembrance and contemplation of the Lord. Their heart became purified enough to have in it the constant presence of the Lord Sri Vasudeva, Krishna, who is the dwelling place of all beings and the shelter of those who want to get out of transmigratory existence. So these three of the sons, they become totally engrossed in meditation and spiritual practice and took the path of renunciation. And they're thinking of God, the Lord, the Absolute. They attain to oneness with that Lord who is the Atman of all and indweller in everything. So there is this process of meditation. They got identified with the Atman. By another wife, he had three sons, Uttama, Tamasa, Raivata, who became the third, fourth, and fifth Manus respectively. While some of his sons took to exhaustive spiritual pursuits, he ruled over the earth for 11 crores of years. During that period, he put down all forces of adharma by mere twang of his bow, string drawn by his long arms, whose powers were there none anywhere to withstand or oppose. That means he ruled the country for a long period of time and established righteousness in the society and in the kingdom, and simultaneously putting on the appearance of an ordinary worldly man without any knowledge of the self. He also enjoyed the delights of the company of his wife, Varismati, who evinced increasing delight on seeing him, who got up from her seat always to honor him, who exhibited her amorous charms to him, and who displayed also coyness that put a check on the unrestrained laughter, passionate look, and words of apparent ridicule as expressions of love. That means they lived a good life, and knowing fully well that they are this with the full knowledge, they behaved like that. But the king Priyabrata ruled the country like that for a long period. So this must we end here today. So what do you get it? We get this sum and substance of this. We got that this world is created by God, and it's God's play going on, and no one can get out of this trouble. But everyone will have to go through the experience of life, and then you get detachment, and then love for God generates. then you detach from everything and reach the climax of life. Should we celebrate Kala Bhairava Jayanti today? Should I create a Pancha Mundi Asana? What is the symbolism of that? I do not know, Baba, all these things.
So they say like that every Krishna Paksha Ashtami is that they follow. It's not only this month. Every Krishna Paksha Ashtami is assigned to Kala Bhairava.
No. I hear that Kala Bhairava is questioned from Nishan, that how should we celebrate Kala Bhairava? Every new moon period, which day? Today?
Krishna Paksha
Krishna
Ashtami.
Paksha Ashtami. That
Every
means
month.
new moon Ashtami, 8th day, there is a day for this Kala Bhairava
Wailing moon.
puja can be done. So Panchamundi, I do not know. You can inquire and you can Google search and find out. It is beyond my knowledge. Okay? So stay well, and then we end here today. This class of Bhagavatam, and then we'll see you next in the 7:30 to 8:30 class in the what is called the synopsis of the
There is one more question.
Bhagavad Santi Gita. Huh?
One more question. How do we evolve our preparatory bhakti to supreme bhakti?
Okay. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Yes, boy, that is called the regulatory bhakti. And how can we transcend that and become prema bhakti? The bhakti, the love of love. Regulatory bhakti, we do that every day. That's called you take a shower, use a fresh cloth, don't go into the inner side. You have to be purified because Lord is there. Then use your cloth, put some incense, some candle, put some flowers at the altar. These are regulatory bhakti. You have to do this, don't do this, this is not good, auspicious, this is inauspicious. And follow that to grow love in God. And now, when one does long time all these spiritual practices, then what happens? Then love for God comes. And love for God comes, then the formalities start reducing. Then God, as Ramakrishna showed in his life, he was doing the formal worship, all one after another, one item after another item, following the scripture suggested. But when that mind becomes so pure, and when mind gets engrossed into God Himself, all this purpose is to go to God and get absorbed into Him. But our mind does not. That's why we do some rituals. We are plucking flowers. We think I am doing, it will be offered to Thakur and his feet. No, my distracted mind thinks that way. I am making a garden. I'm thinking, oh, this will fit in his neck, beautifully. No, so I'm preparing some meal. This will go for the Lord offering, and then we'll have prasad. But this is an offering. So your mind, it is called the worship. These are all worship, part of worship. Not only in the sandal paste waving incense is worship. Worship starts there. You go to shopping. When you go to shopping, you think, oh, I'm shopping. This will be the preparation, and then Thakur will be given the bhogam. So keeping how the mind, instead of only thinking shopping, everyone goes shopping. There is nothing speciality in it. The whole world does that, otherwise they cannot eat, survive. But if we do, what is the difference between us? It is called the ritualistic worship. Yeah, when I am going, I'm going to shop for the Lord. Not I will eat. Yeah, I like this, I like that, I like that, I like that. Remove those ideas and think that I am going for Lord. It will be offered to the Lord. I'll cut it and offer it first, and then I will take the prasad. So this type of thinking, mind is oriented around God, God, God. This is the called Vidhivadiyo Bhakti or preliminary bhakti. And as it matures, doing long time, sincerely doing, when you are shopping, you are not thinking, I will eat it. You think that it will go to the Lord and God will bless it, and then I will have. And I am purchasing for that. This simple, it is a mental attitude. If that is done and brought, and nearly you actually not did the shopping, you did puja, one worship. But this is I don't feel like that. It's a word only. I go to think and thinking that it will be offered to God, offered to God. That creating a devotional emotion in our heart. And that increases and increases and increases. Then when you come and you offer a seat for sitting in front of him, or you are trying to meditate in your heart, or you put a flower on your head and think of God, then you get really connected with him. Such way Ramakrishna is to get connected with him, and sometimes is half an hour gone. Here all the bhogam is waiting, and all the people are waiting for prasad, but Ramakrishna is not there. That's why the complaint went to the Rani Rasmani that this priest is doing all nonsense things and not following any rituals and this, damaging this process of puja. No? But Rani came and understood he is in the mood of absorption. eh? And that is the turning towards parabhakti, or supreme love. It goes more and more. It will be more indrawn, more indrawn. Then outward things will follow. And only God and you, God and you, God and you, God and you. So this is a process, long process. With the spiritual attitude, we'll have to start our all these things as a puja, as a worship, as a worship. And that is the vidhi value. Rules and regulations are there. That's why you purchase incense, don't smell, don't, because it is to be given to God first. I'm I'm purchasing it for giving to God. You are purchasing a new clock. Huh? Oh, it is good. Hey, it will come to me. I'll use it. Don't think that way. It will go into God. If we think that way, everything is I'm offering to God. It is for God, for God. It's just called Vidhivadyo, the rules, ritualistic performance of worship. Part of that, different segments. And that's why sometimes some people play some music, devotional music, and then and do the puja. But um, sometimes when you are in with other people, you don't like it. That so why they should know my inner feeling? Huh? So you think you can sing some song mentally and offer, and when you are chopping the vegetables, you are cooking it, think that I'm doing for Lord, oh Lord, Lord. So do the mantra. So this is the all practice of spiritual disciplines, and it will lead ultimately. Then work will drop, love will grow, external activity will stop, and mind will be merged in God. Okay, thank you. See you again. Jai Ma. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.